friends, I'm Raz, and in today's video I'm going to share with you an IELTS Speaking Cue Card, which is talk about something that you borrowed from your friend. You should say what was it, when did you borrow, whom you borrowed it from, what you did with it, and explain why you borrowed it. So let me present an idle answer that can help you score a good band. I think that sharing things with others is a good habit. In everyday life, a lot of people borrow and lend things to each other. Some people might feel uncomfortable about borrowing and lending things as necessity knows no bounds, but it is a practice that has existed for such a long time. Today, I'd like to talk about a book that I borrowed from my best friend. Once I had to borrow a history textbook from one of my friends. I'm an undergraduate student and I took the History of Ancient Civilisations course in my 4th semester. Unfortunately, I lost my book and did not know how it was lost. If I failed to submit the assignment, it might have been difficult for me to pass the course. As I remember, it was a comparatively easier assignment and took only few hours for me to complete, but I could not have done it without having the textbook as a reference. I knew that I would require the book to complete the assignment, but I could not buy it right then. I was looking to get some information to finalize an important assignment. Therefore, I borrowed the book named Bygone History from Mandy. She is a good friend of mine and lives nearby. She is helpful too and sometimes lends me books. I promised her to return it the next day. She was supportive enough and came to my home with the book, and then I completed the assignment. I thanked her heartily for her genuine help. Alright, so let me present an idle answer 2 now. Here I'd like to share a recent incident when I had to sought help from one of my best friends. It was during last summer when my final exams were going on. I remember the weather was extremely hot during these days. I studied at the library which was close to my home, and I found a good environment to study there. One day I forgot my economics book while studying at the library and I was not able to find it after that. I became anxious and started panicking as my economics exam was 2 days after that and I badly needed that book for the preparation. I called my best friend, who was a year elder to me and had given the same exam last year. Luckily, she still had the same book with her and she said that I can borrow the book from her. I immediately rushed to her place and got a sigh of relief when she gave me the book. She also emphasized that she can assist me prepare for the exam. It was really a nice gesture from her. So I studied really hard for the next 2 days and I felt confident about the exam despite of losing some precious preparation time. Fortunately, my exam went really well and I returned the book to her on the next day with a note of thanks. After a few months, when my result was declared, I was surprised to see that I scored the highest marks in economics. I felt so glad and grateful for my best friend. I bought chocolates for her to express my gratitude. Without her help, this score would not have been possible for me. So this was a time when I borrowed a book from someone. Alright, so moving on to the follow-up questions. The first one is, why do some people borrow things instead of buying them? Nowadays, some people borrow things because they may not be able to afford buying some things, or perhaps they would not need to use those things more than once. So instead of buying, some prefer borrowing such things. Second question, what would you do if people don't return the money they borrowed from you? I would request them or remind them to return the money they owe to me, maybe once or twice. If they still do not return the money, I would not ask them again. I believe that it is the individual's responsibility to return what they have borrowed. Third question, why are people embarrassed when they borrow money from others? People are embarrassed to borrow money because it develops a feeling of inferiority, and people feel ashamed that they are not able to manage their finances well. Next question, do you often borrow things in your daily life? Unfortunately, yes. I'm very forgetful with stationery items like pencils, erasers, pens, etc. I have to often borrow them from my peers and friends at school and school. Many of my friends and peers borrow them from me as well. Next question, what things you usually borrow from your neighbors? I remember a few years back I used to borrow things like sugar, salt, basically cooking items, but now we have shops very close to our home, so it is very convenient to buy from there. I don't believe there is anything wrong with borrowing them in case of emergency. Next question, how you like when some people borrow money from others? This is something that I'm completely against. I believe borrowing money impacts relationships like nothing else, and if there is ever a delay in returning money, it sours relationships even more. What kind of problems are associated with borrowing things? I don't believe that there is anything wrong with borrowing things except money. Borrowing money affects relationships, especially if there are large sums involved. The lender may feel worries if the money would not be returned, or the borrower feels like he owes something. And the last question, what is your opinion about the phenomenon of borrowing in society? Again, I think it is acceptable unless it is about borrowing money. We are social animals. Borrowing and lending is the manifestation of the social dependence. In case of money, I believe a person can take a loan from a bank instead of asking a friend or a relative. So thank you so much, friends, for watching this video, and keep watching more IELTS Speaking Cue Card videos, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye.